Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Great Awakening Generator. I am your host, Rose McNair, and today I have with me Claudia Tietjens. Hello, Claudia.
Hello, Rose. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you going?
Too bad? Not too bad, thank you.
It's good to hear. Well, I am glad we finally get to talk today. We've had some interesting experiences a couple of weeks ago, but hey, it's really good to listen to the intuition and the energies and not proceed with something if we get told that, hey, that's probably not how we should, not the day we should be doing it, right?
Yeah, that was interesting. Interesting
Yes,
experience. But
yes,
yes.
yes. So for everyone else who's listening, we tried to do our recording. We had an appointment. We tried to do our recording a couple of weeks ago, and it actually didn't work out because we just had some technical glitches. However, today we're doing it, and we're just in a wonderful, safe, sacred space. Now, Claudia is from Inner Wisdom Consulting. And if you're ever wanting to check out Claudia's information or more about it after she talks to us today, you can check it out on Inner Wisdom Consulting on the website. Beautiful website, lovely scenery. So remind us, Claudia, before we carry on, what is the web address again, please?
www.innerwisdom-consulting.com.
Great. Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about you then. Inner Wisdom Consulting and the work you're doing. I'm hearing it's very interesting. So tell us a little bit about your background.
You have to book in for a session, Rose.
I do have to do that. Yes, indeed.
So what I do is I consult the Akashic records for my work in all aspects that I do with people, because that allows me to get to the bottom of whatever they are dealing with at the moment.
Okay.
May that be emotional issues, mental issues. So really getting to the bottom of it and being able to explain what the reasoning is behind their experience, and then also being able to clear it up so that they can move forward in their lives. And I do that for people on a personal level, or for their children, family members. Also, when they are self-employed, I can do that for them because their business is an extension of their soul personality, and that is how it should look like. So it needs to be aligned to them to work properly.
Yes.
And the third aspect of my work is dowsing. So I douse for energies in the environment and in people's properties and homes to see if there's any disruptions to their health and well-being.
Okay. So you told us what your offerings are, and that was going to be my next question. But so tell me then, I'm always curious about people who are doing this kind of work. Like I'm curious about how did you come about it? What happened in your world that a button switched on and you thought, oh, or a light switched on, for want of a better word, and you thought, oh, I've got to be doing that. How did you come to get to that? What was your journey like?
I think I've always been quite aware of other things happening that we don't quite understand, and I was always interested finding out more and learning more. But I don't think I really had the time to do this until I had children, and they really threw me out so much that I had to take time off and just deal with what I needed to learn in my awakening process. And that was quite painful, but it also helped me really step into my power, because now I know what my power is. So once I guess in a way, surrender to the process, things started happening. And Soul Realignment, which is the main program that I work with, came along, and I knew it was the right thing for me to do. And I invested my last savings, and off I went on my journey. And it's, no looking back, really. It's been amazing, very eye-opening. Yeah.
I think once you cross the threshold, or once you cross into that onto the other side, you can't unknow what you know already.
No.
You can't tell yourself, I don't know that anymore. Because you're just going to have to keep taking the steps and going through the journey, right? So I think that's awesome. And so how long have you been doing it for, your work?
probably 3 years, for the last 3 years. So
Okay.
it's been fairly recent, but because I've been able to focus quite a bit on it and learn with every client that I have and the people in my environment, I feel I know what I'm talking about. I
Oh, no,
have had
yeah,
people with a lot of different issues come to me, and then I can look at patterns, look at how families operate together, or which steps a person will always take to disempower themselves and how I can
right.
help them.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's really interesting. Mm.
I think it is, but I know you're doing this for 3 years, but I know that it can't have been 3 years only that you have this education, because I know from my personal experience, right? For the last 3 years, in fact, I've been doing my own meditations and all of those things, but I've been doing so much learning, and I sort of started into, I've always been awakening. But I really started the journey in 2007 when I was called out of the church. And then I started a journey to myself, and I was in the, the church of the world, on the planet, basically. And so, but stepping out and doing any work was more like now in the last, say, 2 years, right? So for you as well, you must have had a lot of education, self-education, going to meditations, all of that.
I have, and I also now, because I've done so much clearing in my personal Akashic record, and healing is one of my gifts.
Yes.
So what I can draw on is also past life knowledge. So I
Yes.
know I have been a doctor. I know I've been a shaman. And so I now know how to draw on even all of that knowledge that we have collected over all those different lifetimes. So it's not just now, it's trusting I've done this before, I know what I'm doing, which
That's right,
makes
because
it
this,
so powerful. Yeah.
yeah, because the soul's still carrying the memory of it all, isn't it?
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. And we also have a lot of support around us, our spirit guides,
yeah,
extra guides, ascended masters, and they will put those memories back in front of us at the right time.
yeah, yeah.
On it. Yeah. So it's fascinating.
I think that's very fascinating, and I think when we see the whole picture, we'll realize how it's all been there, because it's all within us.
Yeah.
And we just haven't tapped into specific things. But this is a time of discovery, and a time of fun, and a time of experimenting and exploring. And so this is
Yes.
why it's good to have that bit of amnesia, because when the discovery happens, as you are finding, obviously, with your clients, it's like, oh, the light went on. Oh my gosh, this is why I had that kind of relationship with somebody. This is why that person can't, I just can't get that person out of my head, or my mind, or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Now, I really love the part of the Akashic records, and I know we're gonna come back to the Akashic records, because I'm quite fascinated with it myself. But I know, and I would like us to talk more about that. Is there anything more you wanted to say about that before I ask you the next lot of questions? Because I want to go through those questions, and then we're going to come back to this Akashic record.
No, I'll save it. I'll save it for the next question.
Oh no, it sounds like you're in court, right? What's the next question? Okay. So for the benefit of our audience, please tell us where you operate from and how they can get in touch with you at this point. Yeah.
So I operate online mostly. I can also have people come to my space, but generally I work online because it's all in a conversation that things happen between us. So I'm based in Nelson in the South Island, but that doesn't mean I can't help people overseas, and I do that as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Now, I want to get to this next part here, where I'd like you mentioned 3 things that you do. And on your website, there are 3 or 4 modalities, I'll call them, that I've looked at. I've got to say, it is such a good explanation of each one on the website. And I
Thank you.
love how you put it up there, and I love how clear it is. And I love, we don't talk prices on this, because if anybody is curious, they need to go and find out on the website, because that's fair. but I really liked even the prices. I thought the way you modeled it, the way you put it up there, it was so accessible to all people. Because sometimes it can be inaccessible when people look and think, oh, no, I don't want to do that because, it's too much or something like that.
Too much.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
and I think if you're operating from a platform of love, there's got to be, you have to think about what you're offering, and you have to think about how to look after yourself, but it's also about what happens for the other side as well, right? Fairness of it. And I really, that really stuck out for me. So what I want to ask is, as I was asking, or I started asking, can you explain your modalities to me, please?
Sure. So I'll start with the big one.
Yes.
So that would be the Soul Realignment program that I'm offering. And that is based on understanding who you are at soul level. What are your gifts? What are your soul characteristics? And for one, that makes you be okay with who you are, because that you get the confirmation in a way. It's okay to be that person because that's who you are, and there's lots of the same people around. And also understanding so once you know what your soul gifts are, it's easy to understand what you need to align to have abundance in all areas of your life.
Okay.
It's such an eye-opener to see, this is what it is. And it's actually so easy, because I think quite often we neglect our gifts because it's too easy. So once you know what it is, everything will fall into place. And so that is the first part of the soul realignment. And the second one is really the realignment. So we will go into all the details of everything that is standing in the way of realizing your intention at this point in time. Everything that you've created over past lives, mostly, some also from childhood or during our life this time. And what I usually find, it's always comes in layers. So we tend to, along with our gifts, head into one direction of disempowering ourselves over and over again. But once we clean it up, we can feel so much stronger within ourselves, as if, we can stand tall because we can be proud of who we are and what we can offer humankind in return. Okay. So that's the first lot. And then, as I said, it comes in layers. So then we can go into relationships and see, why am I still doing certain things with this person, or why am I holding back in my relationships? What is happening? So we can really clean up and explain what we've been doing. How many past lives have we shared, in what kind of relationships, and what have we been doing that we're still continuing today? What else? And also say, for example, if we've started working together and all of a sudden you develop a certain symptoms, either physical symptoms or certain situations that keep coming up, that means, I'm ready for the next layer. So I can clean up. I can learn what I've done wrong for myself, not for anyone else, but what have I done to disempower myself? And then it can be explained and cleared. And the important thing also that I like doing is, because I know it comes in layers, I like to work people over several months, because then it has the biggest impact to really make a difference. And so there will also be homework, which means just all the clearing that we're doing in the Akashic record can be accepted in your conscious and subconscious mind. But what is more important also is to give you clear activities or actions to take to break those patterns. And once you see where they come from, it's easy to change what you're doing now. So it's not an offensive way of changing things. It's really, you look at it in a way from a third perspective and say, well, that person would have died if they had done that. But now I'm not going to die, so I can change what I'm doing.
Yes.
So it makes so much sense. And through that knowledge, my goal, really, my intention is to help people raise their consciousness, understanding what they're doing, and then they can clean up and feel more empowered to take the next steps, because they know something's wrong. I can take action. They're not the victim. They're actually the ones who can take the power in their own hands.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
it's all from
So
within
that
us,
is,
right?
and that's
Sorry.
right. So that would be for personal use, or even understanding your family members better. How are they operating? What are their gifts? Why do they keep doing this? What are we creating together? Why have we incarnated together over and over again in a way
Yeah.
to deal with certain things? So once we know, it's just so clear, and yeah, you can move forward with confidence. That's what I feel. So that's
great.
the first one. Second one really is I look into people's businesses. So if they're
Yes.
self-employed, as I said before, it's an extension of your soul personality. So it's got to match your gifts. If you try and, for example, your gift is community, but if you're trying to do everything yourself, you can't be successful because that's not what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
So it's just knowing how you operate and how you can tweak little bits and pieces in your business to make it more successful for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's a very hands-on process, and we will go through everything step by step and find solutions straight away. Then part of the Soul Realignment program is also clearing your property in the Akashic records. So that could be there's portal ways, or there's energies hanging around that are really not beneficial to yourself or to those people living in your property. So I will always, that always comes with a program. I'll clean up your property. And when I find there's several portal ways, then I'm also quite curious to find out what is actually happening geopathically. So that means, are there fault lines? Are there is there underground water? What's happening on that property that allows the portalways to be there? Because usually that's crossings of energy lines where the energy is the most stagnant and negative in a way. That's where portalways open. So we can deal with that a really practical aspect. So I will put it's like copper rods that can be put down to stop energy flow that is not beneficial to us. So it's really looking after you from all certain angles. And if all fails, if there's someone that says, oh, but now my knee's so sore, so then we go into asking our spirit guides, asking higher light beings to overshadow me and help me in my healing. And then that pain goes away. Or do we need to learn something else from it? So I think the big thing is that I offer, I can hold your hand if that's what you want. And I can help you through this process to become more confident and feeling stronger within yourself without any side effects in a way.
I like that. I really like that. And
yeah.
Right. So really good. There's just so much that we don't think is happening presently that has any that is not coming from the past. We always seem to be, it's important to be in the here and the now. But right now, with everything that's going on in terms of ascension symptoms, in terms of transformation, everything that we're going through on this planet, the planet is going through it, the people are going through it, even those things that look like it's dark, that has to happen because it's part of the transformation process. So I find that for me, I'm always thinking, I don't want to do this again. So therefore, I'm ready to fix anything I need to. So that's why somebody who does that kind of work that you're doing is where I'll go to for help. I will go to and say, hey, look, I've got this thing. Can you tell me what I can do about it? So that's a really good explanation of it. I must say, there was a question that popped into my head, but I'll just tell you my thought now. When I looked on the website and you're talking about coming to the property and doing clearing, or you gave an example of a crack in the ground and what that means, and there was a plant there and all of that, I keep thinking this sounds like one of those African mamas that are into like energy clearing, or one of those Indian, when I say African mamas, I mean Sangoma, right? Okay, sorry. I come from Africa. I'm allowed to say that. Okay. I'm not being derogative in any way. And also, like, you know, the Indian
Yes.
the Indian medicine woman, because there are medicine women in the Indian community. I started to feel a lot of the native peoples in your energy. And like, you know, Native American, I started to feel, you know, Aborigine, I started to feel Maori. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is like a medicine woman from native peoples. This is the kind of thing you never thought somebody of European descent would be doing. You'd think it just comes from people from Africa, Asia, and and India that would be doing this. But and of course South Pacific. Here we are. But I feel like that's in the heritage somewhere, and
I
this
just got major goosebumps, so it's true.
because
you were saying it.
Because, you know, I feel like, yeah, I'm glad because it's nice of confirmation. And I'm really like, you know, I was talking to my mother the other day, and I said something to her about a darkness that's happening in, you know, in my world. And she said, oh, that doesn't happen in New Zealand, Rose. And I said, what do you mean, Mum? She said, people don't do that in New Zealand. And I said, they do. I said, people of all cultures do stuff. They do hexes, and they do send you negative energy. If there's some people are jealous, they hex you, you know. And I said, that's all over the world. It's not just Africa or Asia or, you know, India. And so I said to her, but the amazing thing about New Zealand is that there is so many energy healers here, and there are people that can do it. And so this is why when you were talking about this, I was like, especially about the house clearing, because, you know, when I was growing up, there were so many house clearings going on around me. As soon as people feel weird, stagnant energy in their house, and they start to turn salt and, I don't know, wash the place up with salt, and get people to come and do prayers and all of that. So, you know, as a child watching this, I thought, oh my goodness, get me out of here. What the heck is this all about? You know, now here I am thinking, this is totally fine. This is exactly what
mine is less dramatic.
Yeah, I know. If you know anything about the
dramatic, but just as efficient.
But I want to say it's less dramatic in this time and space because of all the knowledge of when it was dramatic in those lifetimes. And anyway, you know what I mean? Like in the past, when you have a Native American medicine woman, for example, it was applicable for that time, wasn't it, to be the way they were? Or you know, and we respect it to this day,
and
whatever they do. Yeah.
I mean, also certain people respond better to certain therapies.
Yes,
so
that's right.
Whatever suits you, you need to find. So if you like more that proof in a way that things have happened through exorcism or something, if that's what you need, then there are people there. I can do the same thing, but it's quiet and it's explaining it, and it gives you power rather than what's happening to me.
Exactly.
You know, it's not happening to you, you're actually doing it. So I think it's just a different approach.
I think it's a different approach.
Say, just one thing with the dowsing, it is also very strong in Europe, the dowsing culture. So that is what I experienced when I grew up. I had massive migraines when we went on a holiday. And so I got to experience a healer in the Netherlands who was clearing it and said, you know, your house, there's stuff going on that needs to be cleared geopathically from the energy field. So we had a dowser coming in. So I saw it as a child, how that worked. And it was fascinating.
Yeah.
But at that time, my family had to shift furniture to be out of the way of those lines, whereas I could block them and you don't have to shift anything.
Okay. That's really good to know. I mean, look, for me, I like, as I'm in this stage in my life, when I was growing up and there was all the drama around it, and, you know, if people were doing that, I kind of, that's how my response to it said, oh, this is not how I would be feeling. I want to have that kind of experience. And as I've grown older, I've realized that actually I like the calmness. I like the calm clearing. I like this quietness of it. I like this lovingness of it, because I think those people are doing love thing. They're showing love too, but it's like too noisy and too dramatic. And I think, like you say, it's about what people need. And for that time and space, those people, that's what they knew, that's what they did. And if there must be people still doing it, because of all parts of the planet, and that's okay because that's working for that energy space.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what I want to ask next is, so what kind of people come to you for your offering or your support?
Well, different people obviously are attracted to different things. So some people might like the Akashic reading and they're quite open to it, whereas others would rather just do the property for now and then see where that leads to. So it's different people who are coming, but I have had people from all walks of life, female, male, children. I love working with children because they are so open and quick to change things that it makes a big difference to their lives. Yeah. So anyone really who's interested.
Yeah, I think what's very interesting that you said was especially about the business, because it gives me, food for thought as well. But we will be talking about stuff once we've done our recording. So I want to ask then, is there anything else? We talked about, we've gone to this point of, is there anything else you want to tell me that I haven't asked you?
I think I've talked so much. I think I've covered it all.
I feel like we've been talking for a short while, and yet it hasn't been a short while. Do you know what I mean? It's interesting. It's interesting how we got so much in there.
Yeah, so another thing that I also offer, if people are a bit hesitant to jump in, they could start with a course. So I also offer courses where I go over all our soul qualities, the gifts, where do we come from, which starseed are we, what does it mean, what do I need to do with that knowledge, what is my life lesson, and how does it show up in my life? What soul specializations do I have? Which skill set can I draw on that is specific to me? So there are options as well. At the moment, I'm doing this with a friend and we're doing it in person, but we've just started teaching people one-on-one online, and then we want to move towards more of a group of people because I think it's so beneficial. Even if you don't clear anything just yet, you will know who you are at soul level, and even that knowledge is going to help you to start with. And then I can see through my courses, for example, I can measure how people's consciousness changes and how aware they are, how the patterns are evolving. So even just doing the basic course in a way will already help you on your way, and then you know more to recognize what's standing in your way to embracing your gifts, really.
Okay, that sounds really good. Tell us more about where people can get in touch with you about these one-on-one workshops, or because you're doing them at the moment, so it'd be nice for if somebody wanted to do it, to be able to contact you. So I guess you can remind us about your website, but if there's anything more we need to know about that.
I think the website is a good starting point, and just get in touch. And I'm always happy to organize a Zoom call, and then we can start there, really start the conversation and really find out what each individual wants to achieve, and and then also how I work is I will also ask their higher self. I'll tune in with their higher self, what they want from me, and what's the first step. Sometimes people only need one step. It really is dependent on the individual, so I will always take that into consideration. I'm not gonna brush over what they need. I will always try and find the best way for them.
Great.
Yeah.
Really good. So anything else you want to say?
Innerwisdom-Consulting.com.
www.innerwisdom-consulting.com.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you, Ro.
You're welcome. Anyway, so what we were going to talk about, Claudia, was we're going to talk about our connection, right?
That's right. That's right. Since we got held up last time, a couple of weeks ago, we thought let's just go into our records and have a look. And
Yeah.
it was quite fascinating that, yes, we have been friends before. And I think I've always found that with people who are attracted to me and my services, there is always a connection. Or
Yeah.
if someone recommends someone else, the person who recommends that is a connection, because I find that even now when I walk down a street and I haven't met those people before, I recognize souls and I think, oh, I've met you before, I've met you before.
Yes.
It's rather fascinating. So we can feel that within each other's vibration. There is a recognition. And so if you're making contact with me, most likely there is a connection. I
Yes.
think that's
Yeah.
fascinating how intuitive we are. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that you said that, because I just thought, well, you know, we are the blindfolds are coming off, or the level of not knowing is becoming knowing now. There's more knowing than not knowing, right? And the things that we don't know, we are going to find out anyway in this time and space. So somebody once said, you know, we are all here living out our karma, and we're all here. You know, we have soul agreements, soul contracts and agreements, and we come here and then we act out that thing. Our soul is on its journey to transformation and it's having experiences. And so quite often the families that we've been in previous lifetimes, we will come back into them, or the friends we had, we will connect with them. And so I think if we start looking at it from that perspective, and then we realize it's because, you know, nowadays we're talking about, oh, I'm finding my tribe. You know, this is this new thing that we say, we're now finding our tribe, right?
Yeah.
But what you're actually doing is you're finding your soulmates, the people that you were with before, often, right? And you're like, okay, we're having the experience, and we want to clear the karma. We want to finish the lessons here. And karma is not, I think, it's about completing lessons, completing things we haven't completed before, or, you know, experiencing something. It's not just about, it's not only suffering, isn't it? Karma is not only suffering. It's like,
No, and I think it's like lessons are there only meant to trigger us to move more into alignment of who we are.
yes,
So it's
completion.
really a task that our ego has set itself, because our soul is perfect. It doesn't need anything. It's the ego that gets in the way, and based on all our past life patterns, is trying to remind us, where do we need to go? Come on, remember who you are and what you need to be doing. And the same with relationships. If we have triggering relationships, that's actually a really positive thing, because that allows us to grow.
Yes.
We wouldn't move anywhere if we weren't triggered.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, we have to welcome it in a way.
Yeah. I think for me, the relationships that I've had that have broken my heart are the ones that I've learned the most from. And I call those people my soulmate.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, whatever's happening, there's something flying around you. Did you see it? There was something flying around you.
It was actually a fly.
Was it a fly? Okay. You're the second person I've had on this that had a fly acting up. She got rid of the fly before we went to recording, right? But your fly, I mean, started coming around after we started the recording. I guess the fly family is just giving each other the heads
Well,
up.
what's the message of the flies? You know, that's another thing. If you see certain animals, what does it actually mean? So we go
Exactly.
into that too in our courses. What is your spirit animal? What is it there to help you with? And also,
Yeah.
yes, if you have things showing up like the fly, what does it actually mean?
What does it mean? Yes.
I'll have
And
a look at that later.
yeah, it doesn't mean you have something smelly around you at all. So I'm just going to say thank you. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. It's been such an awesome, casual, wonderful time together. And, you know, I just want to, I believe we will be doing something together. I've already got the idea in my head, and I'll talk with you about it later. So before we say goodbye to our audience, is there anything you want to say to them? Any kind of guidance you want to give to them? Or are your guides saying this is okay, this is the time to stop? How are we going with that?
I think I first of all want to say thank you, Rose, for giving me the opportunity.
You're very
It's
welcome.
amazing what you're trying to build and the people you're trying to get on board.
Thank you for
It
that.
will help others to open their eyes and find, because like I said, everyone is drawn to someone else to help them grow. And just having the opportunities in front of their eyes is making a big difference.
Yeah.
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 So no, I'm happy. I'm happy,
Okay.
and I'm
That's
looking
good.
forward to people getting in touch, if they so feel drawn to me.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
So
looking
before we
forward
say
to it.
goodbye,
Thank you, Rose.
you're
Yeah,
very welcome. Before we say
sounds good.
goodbye, I want to say thank you for your kind words about this channel. But the channel is really about the guides and what they are. I am the conduit for my guidance system and for whoever it is. Now I feel a bit tearful for whoever it is that has put the idea into my head, because I kind of, I'd been doing radio for so many years, but I didn't think I'd want to have a YouTube channel. And it just didn't occur to me. And then suddenly it just happened. Everything started to happen like within 2 weeks of the idea. And I know that this is an idea that comes from God, from the guides, from the universe. And this is because we do need a platform. And I don't say that this is the only platform in New Zealand. I'm sure there might be others. We do need a platform for all of our esoteric workers, anybody also is into alternative therapies, to come and talk anything that is for the greater good, for the collective, that comes and talks, and really very much from a platform of love. Unconditional love is a very important thing. And so this is about them. It's never, I will do this. I have the time to do it. I will do this. I don't think there's any turning back. And the last 2 months that we started doing it, there have been moments where I thought, oh, okay, I don't know what's next. And every time I say I don't know what's next, something next turns up.
Yeah,
And
you're on the right track.
Yeah,
That's right.
so I just think it's just keep going with the flow. And
Yeah.
therefore, I really love and appreciate people like you who will come and you bring your love with you. You bring your unconditional love, the energy around you. Even a couple of weeks ago, when the technology was failing and all of those things were happening on that day, it was so amazing about it. And
we had a great time.
had a great time. And so, I want, more than anything else, we must be real. And this is my desire. And I mean, that must come from them too, that we want people to be themselves. It's real. If something is falling down, we are not going to get worked up about it. I've had a life of that. My life, my journey, my experiences. There've been a lot of things like falling down, and I'm like, okay, what do I do here? But don't sweat the small stuff. Be forgiving, be loving, be understanding. And you gave that to me. And I really, really appreciate that, that you are that way. And therefore, like, I am really, I'm trusting my guidance system for anybody who comes through here. The right people will come through here. It's because you can put this out to everybody, but who are the right people that come in there? And I maybe right is not the correct word. Maybe the aligned people, the soulmates that come through here. Like you were saying, we're connected.
All those that can connect with your audience. Yes, but I also think, what you're doing, if it's falling into place, it means you are aligned with your own gifts. Otherwise, it wouldn't.
No, absolutely. And I agree with that, because when I do this, after I've done this, I get up and I walk out and I feel so much sunshine and light through me. And, that's when I feel motivated to go take the dog for another walk, or, and I think it's amazing. Even the dog's responds to it, because you haven't heard it.
Yeah.
He's there. So, Claudia, we will say goodbye to our audience now.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And everyone, if you're wanting to contact Claudia is at innerwisdom-consulting.com. innerwisdom-consulting.com. She's down in Nelson locationally, and she is in New Zealand. And she works with people all over the planet because she works online a lot. Well, Thank you for joining us, both Claudia and I, here on the Great Awakening Generator. I am your host, Rose McNair. Thank you and goodbye. Keep reaching for the stars. Namaste and Ng Mihi. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.